Yo, what is up guys, Grim here, and in today's video I want to give you a bit of an update on the Heartbound auto bomber because I have definitely been taking it in a very different direction after I got it into maps and I got some more gear on it. I have indeed kind of changed a lot of things up, and I really have kind of made the character very different to where we started off with and what we planned on. So we're going to go over some of those changes because I think it's really important to kind of document the kind of process step by step, because I think that really is the fun of PoE, kind of going through that creative process, you know, coming up with a design, tweaking it, and then showing it off. So we are still in BA because Gem's still leveling, missing an amulet, but overall the build is in a place where it can do maps. We're still short on resists. We do almost get there with a Wise Oak, but it is still a little bit sketchy. In addition to that, we are also missing Uberlab, which we can pick up at some point as well. But basically, I want to show off kind of where the build's at, and kind of the changes I've made and all sorts of stuff like that. So first of all, I want to start off with the piece that I crafted here. This chest was an absolute nightmare to make, but it did turn out just okay. So it's got elevated Mind Over Matter mod and elevated Explode, and then I've also got, unfortunately, I rolled T2 spell crit. This can be changed later on. The only thing that I cannot change is the T9 life roll that I rolled here, which, you know, it is unfortunate, but on the bright side, I did get a massive fire res roll, and that is going to help me out later on. In addition to that, I did also realize that there is actually no such thing as a synthesized curse on hit gloves. That is actually not a thing that's on the rings. So we are now going for conversion gloves, and we also do have ones with some mana on here. It's someone definitely hooked me up with these, which was quite nice of them to kind of help the build out a little bit here. So overall, those are the kind of additions there. These still need to be crafted a hell of a lot more to be able to get my resistance into a place where we're actually viable. We have a few 2-property jewels like sprinkled here and there, so it's like multi and life. Eventually these either need to become life double multi, or they need to become life res, which will then fix my res problems. Right now we have a massive crit issue, which is kind of funny. That is definitely something I'm going to be working on moving forward. You can see the crit of Blade Vortex is 20%, even with my flasks up, including a Cinder Swallowed crit flask, it's only 30%. So that's definitely something I'm going to be trying to solve in the future. All right, let's get to the actual main juice here, though. So we did go from a EK Blade 4 Blade Blast build, all on auto cast, to a Blade Blast manual cast 6-link, Blade 4 auto cast, and Blade Vortex auto cast. All right, let me go over the theory behind all of this stuff like here. So for starters, the big issue which I had with ethereal knives is one of coverage. So when you had the knives come out of your character, they didn't get the most satisfying coverage, and due to the fact that we are not currently scaling AoE for our explode chest, you know, it was feeling pretty bad, and I wasn't happy with where it was. And on top of that, due to the nature of ethereal knives, you need to have it casting at certain intervals. Generally, you want it casting 5 times a second, which forced you into using a low-level cast and damage taken and a low-level ethereal knives gem. Now, the unique quirk about cast and damage taken is that the lower level it actually has a massive less multiplier on it. So not only are you going from a 6-link ethereal knives down to a 5-link, but you're actually going more down to a 4-link, with the cast and damage taken being a massive less damage multiplier. In addition to that, in order to make the ethereal knives work, we needed to use faster projectiles and pierce support, which was really, really janky, and I didn't like it, and it ended up with basically a skill which did no damage, and that was not ideal. So I tried to come up with an alternative here, and that was Blade Vortex, because Blade Vortex is a buff on you. It kind of persists. I did think about other stuff like Exsanguinate and stuff like that, but it would suffer from the same issue with having to use a low cast damage taken gem, which just really isn't acceptable in terms of the damage department when you're doing, like, you know, T16s and stuff like that. So we did opt to go with Blade Vortex. Blade Vortex obviously did get massively nerfed in duration, so I've had to use an increased duration gem here, as well as picking up the 30% increased Blade Vortex duration helmet, and I'm still only able to get, you know, 8 or 9 stacks. I think I sit on about 9 stacks, so I am actually going to have to go ahead and get an alternate quality Blade Vortex, which has the chance to summon an additional blade, and then I should comfortably be able to sit at 10 blades fairly consistently on auto cast. Now, the thing with Blade Blast is that it actually detonates Blade Vortex blades on you as well, and that is going to be a massive problem, because if I'm accumulating these blades quite slowly, I'm going to go from 10 stacks, which is really good for clear, all the way down to no stacks every time my Blade Blast triggers. So I actually had to take Blade Blast off of the auto cast, and you know, that is something that changes the build quite a lot. But this does actually increase your overall damage in general, and honestly, once I started this playstyle out where I have an autocast Blade Full and my autocast Blade Vortex, and then I'm using and choosing when I want to use the Blade Blast, that actually does feel a lot better than having it going off automatically every single time. In addition to that, now you can play into Indigon. For example, if I chuck everything on, you can see here that I can actually kind of, if I use an Arcane Cloak, I can actually play into the Indigon and sacrifice a significant amount more mana here if I wanted to really ramp up the burst damage and really take home the DPS meter here, which is really, really good. So going for that self-cast Blade Blast actually does yield pretty good results, and it does allow you to kind of play into that Indigon playstyle, and then also have a lot more control, but also a lot more damage on the Blade Blast itself, because you're now on a 6 link, and that is definitely more effective, and you don't have to worry about too much other stuff, which is super duper awesome. So you go well and truly up above 20 million DPS now in the PoB that I have, now that we're using the hardcast Blade Blast, and that is a really good thing in my opinion. Alright, moving on. So that's the main things that I've changed here. I kind of do want to show you guys what it looks like now that we do have the explode chest on here. There is still obviously a lot of stuff left to get. I don't have an amulet. A lot of stuff isn't min-maxed. A lot of the gems are not the correct levels yet. That will all be fixed up in time. I don't have awakened gems and stuff like that, but you know, it is what it is. Let's get into it and I'll show you guys kind of a little bit what we're looking at here in terms of the gameplay. In addition to that, we also do not have the right amount of crit, but we do have, you know, we're getting there. We are slowly but surely getting there. This, I imagine, is what it's going to probably look like, probably with way more AoE. That is the big issue we're having right now on our explode chest, among other things in terms of, like, you know, the crit and crit multi, for example. But overall, Explode does function just the way it did. The only thing that we're missing here is, of course, that AoE. You can see here that a large percentage of the pack is blowing up, and that is exactly what we're looking for here, and what we're hoping to have happen in T16 maps as well. When I scale the Explode to a suitable amount, I think that it will be popping off here. And a big thing that will help with that is actually Bottled Faith, which we do not currently have. Scaling that along with you know, our third cluster, which we don't have yet, is going to be a very, very big deal indeed. And I may actually have to go for some Vast Powers and also some other AoE gems here, and that would potentially be quite good here indeed. So overall, the bow is also not crafted yet. This is going to be a massive deal for both the explode chest scaling as well as the overall damage. In addition to those clusters, that should get us to where we need to go. I might show a map here coming up, because you know, it is pretty interesting to see how the build does on maps and bosses and sort of stuff like that. We can jump into a map in just a second here, and we'll kind of see how that performs. Obviously, you know, I am using a 1 mod bow, and I'm also on a 5 link for my main damage setup, and I'm actually missing the Uber Lab as well. So we are missing a significant amount of damage, multiple gem levels, and it's going to be performing much better. But this is just a proof of concept showing that we are now very happy with like where we are at with the concept. I think this is basically what I'm going to be running moving forward, and I'm pretty happy with how we're going here. So we are on those 9 stacks. We should be able to fix that up with the alternate quality Blade Vortex, and I think that that will actually make things a lot better. Not entirely sure what tier I want to do here. Maybe we do an atoll map, because that's a nice easy map for us to do. Once we do get that AoE scaling in there, I imagine it should be no issues running all types of maps just like you used to do on traditional Blade Vortex. And I'm going to continue to tune it until it is at that point, because I am really, really looking forward to playing something like that again. So here we go. Let's chuck this in and we'll get started. Later on, I do expect to fit phase run back into the build. At the, maybe we cut a few things out for that. I'm not entirely sure yet, but I do want to have it come back in some capacity. And that would be super duper awesome to have. Whether that comes at the cost of a Maloney's mechanism once I get a lot more res on my jewels, or something else, I definitely want to see phase run back in the build so that I can move significantly faster when my blade vortex and my explode chest is able to keep up with it. Right now we're a little bit too low damage to really make use of that, but I imagine in the future, once we have higher damage, there'll be no issue. So we're just waiting for the blade vortex to ramp up right now, and then it'll maintain basically throughout the rest of the map at 9 stacks. You can see here we just don't have enough damage to one-shot the packs yet, which kind of does suck a little bit. But when we do have that AoE and that damage, I think it will be quite nice. Don't actually have freeze immune there, so that's what's going on there. It is what it is. It is what it is, man. So we can burst down the essences, no issues there. And I think I may actually go up in terms of the skeletons that I'm summoning, so that I can summon blades a little bit more consistently and quickly, because it does feel a little bit annoying not summoning them quick enough, and I am kind of like wanting to summon them a bit faster, so maybe I do go up to the 3rd skeleton, but that also will impact your overall damage potential when you do have that Indigon pumping, and then also you can see that the chains are starting to go off there, and it does feel pretty good. Just need that AoE and a little bit more damage, but yeah, that will impact your overall Indigon damage if you do try to pump that that damage taken up, and it may also impact your overall survivability as well. Why isn't my blade fall going off here? I must have leveled something up. There we go, now it's going off. Oh, hold on. I got frozen. We gotta wait, Unfreeze, unfreeze, quick. Alright. So that's kind of gonna be, I imagine, how we take down Cyrus when we actually get to it. Nice big chunk of damage, which should be pretty nice. Once we get that Blade Vortex up, it should really pop off. And you should be able to pretty much burst every endgame boss in the game, especially when you have all of the right cluster jewels on. That is one big boy. And yeah, it should be pretty damn sweet. Very much looking forward to having that happen. And hope you guys have enjoyed this update on the build. Obviously, plenty of things to go. I'm really excited to craft up my bow here and see what that looks like when I finish that off. In addition to that, the quiver can obviously be upgraded as well, and that amulet with the anoint is going to be massive when we get Arcane Capacitor anointed, as well as being a fully ascended ascendant. Where's Arcane Capacity here? Yeah, this is completely ridiculous. It's so much increased effective Arcane Surge. It's actually crazy. And it's also a ton more mana, which is going to scale our damage significantly. So very, very excited about picking that up. So hope you guys have enjoyed this update on the Heartbound Bomber. It's definitely moving in a different direction, but it is super duper autocast still. And once we get that damage, it should be super duper awesome. There is a lot of options for us to scale that damage. If we want, we can ditch the increased AoE, which I may have to do to really ramp up that damage. But for now, I'm pretty happy. I'm going to go for this amulet and the bowcraft next, and we'll see where we end up after that. Maybe we can do the T16 maps along with the Bottle of Faith. So that said, guys, hope you guys have enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.